everybody. Welcome back once again to the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast, coming to you from the Retro Wrestling Archive right here in Gadsden, Alabama. I'm your host, Gene Jackson, along with producer Smokey behind the scenes, making all this happen. Please help me welcome my co-host. First up, he is the bemis stud, I guess we'd say. It's Josh Briley from P3 Radio. Josh, what's going on, man?
Man, I'm trying to be the stud here in Bemis. It's a hard job, I was supposed to call you BT, Eugene. Anyways, yeah, man, it's a hard job, just like your job, hosting the show. I can't imagine trying to wrangle me and the co-host or whatever. But how are you doing?
Oh man, don't make me lie to you. I've been looking forward to this. It was a fun episode this week.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about this Robert Fuller interview we're going to be checking out here in a little while. He outdid himself this week, I felt like. So and I was telling BT before we started recording that I wished one of y'all had a Texas hat, because I got in here. This was actually just by happenstance. I got in here and I'm like, oh God, I haven't kept my head shaved and it looks like shit. Do I have a hat? And I looked over there and the only cap in this entire room was a Tennessee hat. So I slapped that on. And then when BT came on, I was like, hey, that's perfect for the show this week. And I was like, oh yeah, I didn't really even think about that. I was like, man, we got to get at least one of y'all's got to have a Texas hat for this feud at some point.
I'm gonna have to disappoint you. Hey, BT is the Texas guy. He's the Dallas Cowboy.
There you go. We'll count that. Speaking of, it feels like something's missing.
Definitely.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's time to welcome our other co-host. He's the owner, founder, and president of STSpod.club, and he's Jonesboro, Arkansas's favorite resident. And we won't get into this. You have to check out Patreon. But he just may be competing with another Jonesboro resident real soon. We can't say how, why, but we can say where. But it's the one and only, spoiler alert, it's Brian Tramel. What's up, BT?
Hey, get bug guys. Hey, Gene. Hey, Josh. My favorite host of P3 Radio, Josh, and my best friend of all time, Gene Jackson. I'm doing good, man. I've been up since 4:45. I had to slop the chickens and feed the pigs or something like that. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
I thought you said you fed the
chickens right now.
I thought you said you fed the pigs chickens.
Oh, yeah, that's what I did. I am also brought to you this week again by Jolly Royal Furniture. Remember, guys, you can open an account today or reopen an old account. I'm fired up and ready to go, guys.
Well, all right. I guess there's no need to keep everybody waiting. Let's head back to April 27th, 1991. It's another episode of USWA Championship Wrestling in there. And we've got Dave Brown and Michael St. John are both here this week, even though this picture makes it look like Michael St. John's dozing off and Dave is judging the shit out of him. I was like, come on, dude, get it together. We got a big show in store, and I'm going to tease this match because when I heard it at the beginning of the show, I was pretty enthused about this because I realized this is a match I didn't know really ever happened, and it's a match I didn't know I wanted until I heard him tease it. This week, we're going to see Stunning Steve Austin go one-on-one with the fabulous one, Steve Gator Kern. And I don't know about you guys, but when I heard that, I thought, that might be a good one. What did you think?
I was fired up, y'all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have this on tape, but yeah, like you, I don't remember this, so I was excited as well. I mean, you know how Steve Kern is, and I don't think Steve Austin's going to take any shit either. So I was excited.
Yeah, I mean, he's still new in the game, but he ain't taking any shit. So the Tennessee and Texas feud is reaching a fever pitch. And things are starting to heat up here. In the opening match, we got Dr. Tom coming out, and he's rocking, I don't remember how long he had this jacket, but I don't know, it caught my eye this week. It's a really sharp jacket. Dave even made mention that Tom, quote, had a map of Texas on his warm-up jacket, which don't know if you really call that a map of Texas. It don't really show us any cities or streets or anything. That could be Texas. That could be like a jacked up looking clover leaf of some sort. But we're going to
just a splat. It could just be
or
a
just
splat.
a big silver splotch like the one on Dusty Rhodes' belly. But anyway, we'll call it Texas for the purposes of this for this show. But there's a new wrinkle this week as Tom Pritchard comes out. Of course, Tojo's with him, but man, all of a sudden, Tom is a lot more I'm blanked out
Animated?
the word. Animated. He's more just vicious. And Tojo, who's really just been kind of standing in the corner with the aluminum foil briefcase, he's very vocal this week, and he's shouting out instructions for Tom, and Tom's chopping the shit out of poor Chris Frazier. He's laying it in. I mean, he's getting rough on our old buddy here, Chris Frazier. And I'll tell you what, rather than just talk about it and show pictures, let's see a clip of this match, and then we'll hear a little bit from Dr. Tom afterwards.
Texas.
Under the rules, of course, he does not. He has to just count to 3, and if it breaks the pin, he breaks the pin.
Slingshot suplex. This ought to do it. Here comes Tojo. Tojo coming. Did he pull him up again? He did. Yeah, Tojo Yamamoto getting involved.
Yeah, he's up on the apron. He's not supposed to be there. Referee trying to get him back down. Oh, look at Pritchard.
He's getting that object on his boot. He's got some kind of metal toe object. Oh! Did you hear that?
You can hear that all the way over here.
Frazier's got to be out after that one. 1, 2, 3.
Ridiculous is what it is. We saw what you put on that boot there. We saw you load it up.
I don't want to talk about what I got to do to put on my boot, because you just saw not only can I wrestle, but I can fight, I can brawl, I can do it all. The fact of the matter is, you're looking at a Texas stud. And while all those people are patting you on the back, and all those people are telling you just how great you are, Robert Fuller, remember this. There's not a whole lot of distance between a big pat on the back and a kick in the pants. And when you step in the ring with me and call yourself a stud, you better be able to back up every word you say.
All right, that's the bold move here. We're calling out the Tennessee stud. Man, like I said, just a vicious streak we haven't seen in Tom Pritchard perhaps ever before. He's picking Chris Frazier. He's clearly got Chris Frazier beat. He keeps picking him up, breaking these pins, although after the slingshot suplex, that basically should have been 3 because he didn't pull Chris Frazier up. Tojo got up on the apron, but Paul Neighbors didn't go to him until it was already, he could have already counted 3. But that's nitpicking. But just to show how mean he is, clearly he's got Chris Frazier beat after the slingshot suplex. Pritchard's execution of this keeps getting better each week. It just varies on how well the person straightens their legs out on their end as far as the bounce off the ropes. But he's got that twisted motion where he's executing it well. But just out of pure meanness, he didn't need to do it. He didn't need help to beat Chris Frazier. Tojo gets the referee. He straps that. He looks like he's strapping a slingshot to the bottom of his boot. But it is Dave Brown has confirmed that is indeed something loaded on the end of his boot, and then he hits that enziguri kick, and Chris Frazier is all but done for at that point. We finally put this beating to an end. But man, like I said, Tojo is a lot. All right, we lost BT for some reason. Tojo's a lot more animated at ringside, and he is really on Pritchard to be vicious and mean, and Pritchard is seemingly more than up to the challenge there. So what did you guys think of this new and improved vicious Dr. Tom Pritchard?
Well, I liked it because, I mean, I liked Dr. Tom before, but I was kind of getting the feeling that Tojo was just kind of like the hood ornament. He's there, but he's not. But this kind of gives Tojo a purpose, because even Dave and Michael St. John are putting over Tojo's chops, and he's probably showed him a thing or two and all this shit. So he's trying to tie in to Tojo has purpose. He's instructing Dr. Tom to be more vicious. And just like with Eric Embry a few weeks ago, it's the same bullshit where he's making you hate him more by the slingshot suplex. You're right. It should have been done, but he's such a piece of shit, that Texas piece of shit, that he had to pull him up and put the loaded boot. And I loved how Dave and Michael St. John both put that over. Did you hear that? These definitely got something in there. I love that shit. It's the little things, you know. It really, really was putting the stamp on Dr. Tom, just like I said, being a total Texas asshole.
Me too.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot more vicious than he's been being. I did write down a comment by Michael St. John. Michael wanted us to know that he thought that Dr. Tom had dropped some weight. So Michael St. John looking at that body, making sure he didn't say anything about that tan, though. So I was upset about that.
Did you notice whenever Dr. Tom's heading over to the desk that the sign's falling off the front and no one has bothered to come fix
I
it?
didn't even see that. I didn't see that.
I don't know why that caught my eye, but I was just like, somebody couldn't have come out there and stuck that back on while they were off camera, like during the match. But just a pointless little observation there. But I did like Pritchard's promo, you know, called himself the Texas Stud.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is another one of those we've talked about, you know, what appears to be Eric Embry's attention to detail. And to Josh's point, I'm wondering if when he brings Tojo in, if he's like, look, just kind of hang out in the corner, interfere when we need you to, but just kind of lay back right now. And then in a few weeks, when we're going into a big match, then you can ramp it up. Then you can be the evil Tojo that everybody remembers. And we can ramp up things on our end, and that'll bring a whole new attention to you and add another dynamic to everything. Or is it just purely coincidental that they were like, hey, we ain't doing shit with Tojo. Let's make him useful. I want to believe that this was strategic and like, all right, just ease into it. And then here as time goes on, we'll start showing your influence over Tom and over, you know, how we're punishing people in the ring. What do you guys think? You think this is intentional, or do you think it's just fell into it?
That's to your point exactly. I think it probably is intentional now that you explain it like that, because Tojo was over so fucking strong here as a heel. Like he is the pinnacle of a bad guy. You know, in most of the people's minds of memory of late. And like, that's a big shadow. He's a small guy, but he carries a big fucking shadow of a bad guy. And Eric Embry and Dr. Tom, I don't think have been really heels in this area, at least for years and years before maybe with Tom. But I thought he was a good guy for the most part. But yeah, I'm sure it had to have been that way because they had to establish themselves first, do what they had to do, and then Tojo could start being more like the old Tojo.
And we've made mention, I think I have, and Gene's talked about older people always remember Tojo no matter what. And that's what Josh was saying. It's so weird, but I got a text message from my college roommate and yesterday, and he just sent something from one of those groups where, you know, they post old photos of wrestlers, and it was Tojo, and he was like, love this guy, he was crazy or something like that. And I was thinking, after all these years, we still have people talking about, and I mean, this was 1991, so we all knew how evil Tojo could be.
Yeah, you know, I've talked about that before on here, but I just recently went home to visit my parents and was hanging out at their house, and a friend of my dad's stopped by, and he's younger than my dad, but he's still probably 20 years older than me at least. And I don't know how something came up about wrestling. I think he's just like, hey, Gene, you still involved with wrestling? And I was like, yeah. And the first thing out of his mouth, he goes, "Boy, I remember growing up watching wrestling. Man, I love Tojo Yamamoto, that little evil bastard." And that's the first name, not Lawler, not Jackie Fargo, that was the first and only name he mentioned specifically. And he went into like a whole story of going to Tupelo to a show when he was a kid and watching Tojo split somebody open with the wooden sandal, not sandal, but the wooden shoe that he had, and I don't know, a lot more people have memories of Tojo than you would think based on what you hear amongst wrestling fans. Like, he made an impression on people who aren't necessarily like the biggest wrestling fans in the world, but in general, even though you don't hear a lot of podcasts and groups where people are just sitting around talking about Tojo, even though I guess we're one right now, but to the average person, he really stood out. So, and plus in that time, it was relevant, being Japanese and all that.
That's what I was going to say. There was a little bit more relevance there with the Japanese being evil in that time period. And I think that was what got him over, And you have to ask Jerry Jarrett this, but, he was a babyface for a while. So, and a big-time babyface with Jarrett as tag team. So, it makes me wonder whether that's how they they came up with Jeff and Robert being tag team, because one of the successful tag teams back in the day was kind of like a heel and the top babyface being Jerry Jarrett. So,
yeah, we'll talk a little more about Tojo and Jeff Jarrett in the Patreon post show, folks, if you want to catch that. Speaking of Jeff Jarrett, right now the Southern Heavyweight Champ comes out. He's getting ready to take on El Grande Pistolero. So for a long time there, we were only seeing El Grande Pistolero via vignettes, but he's been here in the studio recently. And him and Jeff have a good little match here. I enjoyed it. It was different than what we normally see. And man, talk about different. Jeff hits a flying body press off the top rope and wins the match without anyone from Texas interfering. I guess just because Pistolero is not directly linked to the Texas crew, right. They let him get the win. But I was shocked because as soon as the bell rings and the match gets going, I was like, "Hey man, this is a pretty good match we got going here." And just a shame that there won't be a finish. As soon as Jeff gets things going his way, of course these guys are going to run in, and then the 1, 2, 3 happened. I was like, holy shit, we just saw a match to completion here. And Jeff was excited. This guy was excited. They had a whole hand slapping moment over there. Check that dude out.
That guy right there, if you could just mold one guy for 1991 in this area, that is that guy. That's what you get.
Yes, that's Whitey Jenkins in 1991, I feel like. Right there.
Got them Stone Wars jeans on.
That's right.
I seen that. I'm like, God, I gotta at least get a screenshot of that if I don't clip it. That is a wrestling fan right there, rolled into one person. But anyway,
dude, before you step off of that, Gypsy fucking Joe hit a front flip off the top rope.
A swanton, yeah, he did.
He is, but he has got to be close to 60 years old at this point.
Yes,
has to be.
He did. I started to put a clip in, but I got a few other clips that are relevant to other things, and I didn't do it. And almost
was anybody
had us just watch the whole
that?
match.
Was anybody using that kind of move back then?
Not in our neck of the woods.
I don't think so either. I was like, wait, he just did the swanton. Like Josh said, he missed it, but I was like, wait. And then
I'm sure because Jeff's like, because I'm sure when he said it, if he called it beforehand or if he said, I'm going
Jeff
up.
was like, ha ha, no.
Not today, pal. I was telling BT off air, I watched this show, and then I watched like this best of Jeff Jarrett 4-hour compilation on YouTube yesterday. And I didn't realize until just recently, it didn't click with me that the only person in wrestling that says pal more than Vince McMahon is Jeff Jarrett. Like if you start, once you hear that, you can't not notice it in his promos. tell you what, pal, listen here, pal. I'm like, God dang, he's little Vince over here. But yeah, he's no Jeff Hardy, but for a 60-something-year-old man, that was an impressive. 'Cause he got some distance across that ring. He didn't just like flop off. I mean, he jumped and got over there. But Jeff gets the win. We hear from Jeff. They're using the nice-looking Southern Heavyweight title right now, which I'm a big fan of after that big, dinner platter monstrosity that they show up with in 1993 at some point when that belt apparently went away, I guess. But Jeff cuts a passionate promo defending the honor of Tennessee. He hypes up the Texas Brawl. He talks about his singles match he's got coming up with Steve Austin. And, he says, you bring a chain, I'll bring a chain. So you think he's establishing a premise here. You bring a chain, I'll bring a chain. You bring a chair, that's fine. You better be ready. Like, wait a minute. You're supposed to say, I'll bring a chair. But it's like, you bring a chain, I'll bring a chain. You bring a chair, well, that's fine. Okay. I was like, that felt like kind of like a Randy Hales moment there for some reason. Like maybe he wrote that. But the Texas Brawl is going to be a 10-man tag team, come as you are street fight, it sounds like. So that's going to be a doozy. Dave, they throw to a video package kind of explaining what the Texas Brawl is with, chains and chairs and trash cans. There's no rules. And we go to a segment where Eric Embry is in Texas. He's not here in the studio this week. I think this is the first time since he's been booking that we don't have him live in the studio. Let's see. I don't know if we have a clip of that promo or not. Actually, I've got a clip. I forgot. I've actually got a clip of some Jeff Jarrett. I don't know if we got a clip of the match or if it's just the promo, because I hadn't put a Jeff Jarrett promo in a while. I thought, well, let's hear from Jeff, because we've been hearing a lot from Embry and Pritchard. So let's check this out real quick.
Well, you've got a big match coming up this week, and the belt is going to be on the line.
That's exactly right, Dave. When you're the Southern Heavyweight Champion, everybody's shooting for you. Eddie Gilbert made a challenge to me, and I've accepted. Tom Pritchard made many challenges. And now you, stunning Steve Austin, you're going to make the challenge. Well, pal, I just got this to tell you. I worked long and hard to be the Southern Heavyweight Champion. That's what I've always dreamed of since I was a little kid. And you're not going to take this belt away from me very easy. Because I have to fight. That's exactly what I'll do. I'll fight. You want to bring a chain? I'll bring a chain. You want to bring a chair? Well, that's fine. But I know one thing. You're going to have to do an awful lot to take this Southern Heavyweight title away from me. And what I really want to talk about, talking about chairs and chains and boots and, yeah, Coke bottles and baseball bats. That's exactly what you can bring to the ring this week in the Texas Brawl. The rules of this match are, there are no rules. You can wear anything, carry anything to the ring. It doesn't matter. So Eric Embry, Tom Pritchard, Steve Austin, and the Texas Hangman, you boys better get ready, because I've got 4 guys on my side. Oh, and brother, I would hate to be facing this team, because it consists of Nightmare Danny Davis, Superstar Bill Dundee, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, that's right, and the Tennessee stud Robert Fuller. And I know him better than anybody. He doesn't care. He goes into a point beyond just wrestling and beyond just fighting. Yep, Robert Fuller, you might call him a little psycho, because he doesn't care. He'll break your head open. It doesn't matter.
He'll break your head open, guys. He's a psycho. I think a lot of people probably assume that it started with Double J, but I saw promos on this compilation last night from '87 when he's like a year in. He's doing that stuff back then. So that's just a Jeff Jarrett thing. I have a feeling he does that just in everyday life, apparently. They got to let these guys go back there and sit down for a bit before they go straight to these promos. Quit pulling these guys from especially a match like with, Gypsy Joe, and then you got to come straight over and try to cut this promo. Bless his heart to be he's winded. Like, you got the whole show. Let him come out and after taking a break. But anyway, like I said, we go to the Dallas Sportatorium. We get a promo from Eric Embry, and he's bragging about he's going to be introducing Miss Texas this week, and he mocks the toothless pig farmers' wives in Tennessee, and he's retired Jerry Lawler. He reminds us he's retired Jerry Lawler. He's going to retire Eddie Gilbert, and if Eddie Gilbert's fat old man was around, he'd put him out too. So it's a good thing he wasn't in the studio and said that, because I got a feeling Eddie would have come out just as hot as he was when he pile drove John Gilliam off the second rope for making reference to his father. But Dave Brown is well, first of all, take a look at this. There's a couple of screenshots from that promo. We're going to be using that one for something, I'm sure, for a while. But Dave makes sure to call BS on saying that he retired Lawler. He's just on medical leave for insurance purposes. That's what we're saying. And then he also calls bullshit on Embry's story about the chain match. So we're going to see a clip here from the chain match last Monday night. And, well, just take a look.
Wraps the chain around it, wraps it around Gilbert's neck, and is just holding him up with a chain, firing away on that busted open head. Embry goes to fire him in. Gilbert stops him with the foot and reverses it. Wraps the chain right around his neck, fires in a big right. Gilbert quickly back up, firing away on Eric Embry, has him busted open. Gilbert fires away another right on Embry. Has the Texas champion staggering now. Gilbert catches Embry, puts him down with a chain clothesline. Russian chain match. But Embry ducks. Down goes referee Paul Neighbors. Gilbert wraps the chain around his fist again. But Gilbert going to the turnbuckles, tagging him. The referee still down. Not able to sit. Gilbert just tagged all four turnbuckles. But look out. Eric Embry sprays a green mist in the eyes of Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. Puts Gilbert down on the canvas, rolling around, rubbing his eyes. Embry tagging the turnbuckles. Referee Paul Neighbors trying to get up, sees Embry tagging him, calls for the bell to be rung. After Embry just sprayed Gilbert with that mist.
Now, for years and years as wrestling fans, we believe that only wrestlers of an Asian descent, Orientals, if you will, as they were allowed to be called back then, had the ability to regurgitate this green poison mist, as it was referred to at different times, and spit it into people's face. But here, Eric Embry of Texas has sprayed a substantial amount of green mist into the face of Eddie Gilbert. So I don't know where he learned it, how he managed to pull that off, but look at poor Eddie. He's covered in blood and green mist.
You commented earlier about Tojo's influence on Dr. Tom. Maybe that Oriental secret was revealed to Eric Embry.
Ancient Chinese secret.
No, Japanese secret.
Well, yeah, I'm just like,
hey, I got a Patreon tease. I got a story about a Ninja Mist.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Patreon, y'all got to pay for the Ninja Mist story. Two Ninja Mist stories.
So I feel like I almost picture a Mr. Miyagi Danielson situation, where they're out behind the sportatorium and Tojo's like, oh, dig deep down, Eric-san. Deep down. You'll have to pull the mist from deep in your guts.
Spray it right. And he bashes him with the fucking kendo stick.
Exactly. First, he sprayed blue mist. No.
Oh!
And then he sprayed yellow mist. And then somehow he mixed them around in here. Yellow and blue make green, I heard in an old sandwich bag commercial one time. And then this one, finally, he gets the, oh, yes, Alexander, very good, very good. You're the best around. And here he is, taking out poor Eddie Gilbert in a chain match, and casually. Used to, in WCW and different places, you had to drag the person with you. But in this small ring at the Pipkin building, you can just casually walk and tap each corner, because that's what Eddie had just done previous to getting misted in the face. And then luckily, Paul Neighbors was up just in time to see Eric walk around, tag the corners, and he's the winner of the Texas. Or I'm sorry, no, we didn't even call it Texas. We referred to it as a Russian chain match. Let's make sure we get that right.
By the way, 2 weeks in a row, we've had mention of Max Andrews again, too. Eric Embry is putting that Max Andrews gimmick in his promos and stuff. But someone else does it again later on. I can't remember who it was. But, yeah, Max becomes a figure in Memphis Wrestling again for some reason.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, that's a story. I guess at some point we'll talk about Max Andrews at some point. But, we'll wait till he gets a little more involved. So then we get a promo from Eddie Gilbert. I was going to clip this promo, but then I remembered there's a one later that he's a little more heated about, so I saved it. But there was a couple of really good lines in this one. He's got his New York Mets T-shirt on again, which just, I don't know, feels weird that Eddie Gilbert's a Mets fan just because, but. He's got his blue outfit on. I think the probably the line of the promo, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, is when Eddie says the ugliest girl in Tennessee looks a whole lot better than the prettiest girl in Texas. I don't know that I agree with that. I've been to a strip club in Dallas that would perhaps present another side to that story. And he also at one point says, you can beat me down, you can make me bleed, because I like bleeding, Eric. So Eddie Gilbert enjoys bleeding, so he's in the right feud for it. What do you guys think of this, the first Eddie Gilbert promo of the day?
I liked it. I mean, he's a little intense, but I mean, like you say, he kind of cranks it up at the end of the show with the next one. But I think he's doing it that way so he doesn't pop his wad essentially there at the front. He's got to wait till the end for the coup de grace. But yeah, Eddie was good at just coming out and spouting some shit, and it's setting a tone for the rest of the show. But yeah, I love that line. You can bust me open. I like to bleed. It's psychologically it instills that he's a sadistic bastard, and that's why he's the perfect guy for the job whenever you need something rotten done. I love it.
I liked it too. I thought it was funny when he was doing his own imitation of Embry. Apparently Eddie had a bunch of those he could do backstage. So that he sounded a lot like Embry, a lot like him. So fun promo.
Yeah, Doug has said that was one of Eddie's talents, was like he could mimic just about anybody, and he was always cracking people up with voices. But it isn't something you've seen him pull out on TV very often. He had that one voice that he would do, mocking people. But as far as doing imitations of people, I did enjoy that when he pulled out a brief Eric Embry imitation here. So then Dave and Michael St. John run down the card here.
Hey,
and,
before they run down the card, was it where they showed those kids were fighting in the crowd? Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
And you could tell at the end they were starting to, like, the one kid turns around and bam, punches him right in the arm. And
I was like, man, they got a spanking when they got home, boy.
Dave had to correct him, like, all right, let's keep the wrestling in the ring, guys.
Don't be shooting over there, all right? I know a real punch when I see one.
I was dying. I was like, man, I can't believe they're showing these kids and talking about them.
Yeah.
Michael St. John said, man, that kid looks like it's handsome, boy.
That kid's a little stiff in there, Dave. He punched that boy pretty hard. So now we're going to hear from the whole Tennessee side.
Oh,
Robert
yes.
Fuller, the Tennessee stud, comes out, and let's just hear this before we start talking about it. The Tennessee stud.
Davis and Eddie Gilbert to talk about it right now.
That's right, a whole bunch of fine fellas. Let me first get Danny Davis over here. Let me ask you, Danny, where you from, man?
Jackson, Tennessee.
Jackson, Tennessee. Let me get Eddie Gilbert over here. Eddie, where you from, man?
Lexington, Tennessee.
That's Eddie, and my good friend Jarrett. Where you from, Jim?
Hendersonville, Tennessee.
That's right, and our other partner, we're talking about Bill Dundee from Australia, but the latest known Tennessee lover of all time came here from another country and never did leave, and asked me where I'm from. I'm Knoxville, born and bred, Daddy, Tennessee, and I got all the pride in the world in it. God bless the greatest state in the United States of America. Eric, Embry, Tom Pritchard, that old bunch of yours. Let me tell you what it is, baby. It's Tennessee. And I think now, boys, it's about time to prove it. They got this thing they want to call Texas Brawl. Let me tell you something, boys. You should have named it Tennessee Brawl, because when it comes to brawling, you got the best bunch of brawlers right here that's ever come down the pike. You bring anything you want, I'm going to guarantee you something, Embry. You say that head of yours is so smart, it works so well, you can think of all kinds of things. You can't even start to think like the stud thinks, Daddy. I've got a bunch of friends out here that's going to stand behind me, and it's the first time in my life I can really stand up and say that. And I'm going to tell you something, boys. Jeff, I ain't never going to let you down, Danny. I'm never going to let you down. Eddie, we're going to be the finest cooperation of human beings ever put together in the state of Tennessee. And I'm going to tell you something, Texas geeks. That's going to be the worst luck you ever had in all of your life. I'm going to guarantee you that from the stud man.
Yeah.
I guarantee from the stud man. That's my favorite. My favorite line of that there is the stud man. Man, I just love how Robert Fuller can go from just 0 to 100 just like that. Like, he's coming out, he's talking kind of in his normal voice, and then he starts shouting about Tennessee, has a roll call where everybody was at. And I was thinking as he is asking each one, I'm like, well, what's going to happen when you get to Dundee? But then he's like, hey, coming from another country, he came to Tennessee and he never left. I'm like, all right, good point. You win that round for sure.
He covered that, yeah.
Yeah, so, man, they definitely feel like the right team to be out here defending. What do we think about Uncle Danny's star this week? Is that a sitting in the dressing room one?
You know, the little leg on the bottom leg on the right side, that's unacceptable. That's a
little big in it.
That's a definite Camaro star. Car star rate. It's definite car star.
That's what I'm thinking. But
that sweatshirt, dude, or whatever that sweatshirt that man that is quite the 1990s look there, boy.
Hell yeah, he's got that on. He's got his jeans tucked into his cowboy boots. He is ready for a Texas brawl without a doubt, as is Eddie with his turnbuckle there that he's bringing with him, apparently.
Yeah, he must have stowed that on the way to the interview. I love Robert Fuller as babyface, y'all. I am such a mark for this guy. He's just so big, too. He's so much bigger than everybody else.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well,
in every aspect of that term.
Yeah, there was something said about maybe it was Dr. Tom said in his interview he has to prove he's a Tennessee or prove he's a stud or something. I was like, yeah, Robert can prove it real quick.
Come on up here to the urinal with me, boy.
I'll slap you upside the head with 12 inches of limp Tennessee hog meat, and then we'll see who's the stud, boy. Yeah, stud ain't backing down from that challenge. That's why I say it's a bold choice for Tom Pritchard to go out there and call himself the Texas stud, because there's a lot Robert Fuller can come back with. But there's rumors that Pritchard could hold his own. I don't know about with Robert Fuller, but there's some stories about old Dr. Tom out there that he ain't got anything to be ashamed of, so they say. So I guess maybe that's how they decided who was going to square off with Robert in the single match this week. It's like, what you got? Tom's like, let's go.
Dr. Tom Piper, I'm ready to play this game.
What do you think I have to wear a kilt on? So match number 3 of the show. Here we are, Stunning Steve Austin taking on Steve Keirn, and it's a technically sound match. Starting out, Austin, and I remember noticing this years ago as a kid, and even like in WCW, he had this weird way of like when he would throw a punch, he would squat down and like had his whole body moved. I can't really describe it. But if you watch one of his matches with that in mind, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because he kind of squatted and it was like this weird whole body movement with every punch, and there was and he got his stomp in there at the same time too. He grew out of that eventually, but in these early days, I noticed it more so even than I noticed it in WCW in like 92, 93 era there. We had a pretty good little wrestling match going, and then we get the expected run in, and we're not going to watch the whole match, but let's see what happens once the Texas Hangmen get involved here in this great singles wrestling match we had going on.
And Keirn in a whale of trouble because it's 3-on-1.
3 against 1. Steve Keirn still battling, but vastly outnumbered by 3 big guys.
Keirn being pulled to the floor by one of the hangmen. They're battling right in front of us here at the table. Both of the hangmen working over Steve Keirn. They came out of nowhere, and for what reason, Dave?
I don't know. I don't understand it. Keirn and Austin had a good match going. Oh, no!
Pile driver.
Right on the floor, a pile driver.
And Keirn is out.
Here comes the Tennessee Stud.
Robert Fuller comes to the aid of Steve Keirn, and Fuller is going to town. First on Austin, then on the hangman.
Look out, Tom Pritchard is out here. He's loaded that boot up.
He's got that boot loaded up, Dave.
Yeah, I thought he was going after Keirn, but he went after Fuller. He went after Fuller.
He just nailed Fuller with that super kick.
Yeah.
Now, pulling off an enziguri in a fight on the floor is easier said than done. You know what I mean? Like, as a kid, like the first time I really saw that move is when Bad News was using like a variation of it. So I always, no matter who was doing it, whether it's Tom Pritchard, I always call that a ghetto blaster, because that's what Bad News had named it. So I remember as a kid, like, oh my God, he was ghetto blasted him with his loaded boot. But okay, so here's where I'm thinking maybe this is a sign that Eric Embry isn't here today, because I want to think this is a detail he would have caught based on the other things we're seeing. But it was odd to me that he's right in the middle of everything last week, but we announced this 10-man tag team match. Steve Keirn's not in it. We run down the card for Monday night. Steve Keirn's not on the card. Then Steve Austin wrestles Steve Keirn. He gets pile driven on the concrete. Clearly, we just wrote him off. At least they covered a little bit by having Eddie Marlin come out and announce that Robert Fuller is going to take Steve Keirn's place in Jonesboro. But still, I would have liked to have seen this match happen before we ran down the Monday night card, because it just felt very out of place to me. Because when they brought the team out, and I'm like, and Lord knows I'm an Uncle Danny fan from way back, but it felt odd. Like, well, we got Danny Davis in this match. We don't have Keirn. Keirn's not from Tennessee, so all right, I'll accept that. That's fine. But then when he's not on the card for Monday night, I was like, that seems fishy. And then he gets pile driven on the floor. But then again, if you look at Monday night's card, it's simply 5 singles matches of the people that are going to be in the 10-man tag. So we're trying to save some money on the card Monday night, clearly. But I don't know. What did you guys think of this match? And did any of the things I just mentioned cross your mind or bother you, or am I just being way too picky?
Well, yeah, I mean, at first, because of the previous Monday night team battle or whatever, you would think Keirn would come back for some more. But if you listen to the promo the Saturday before, you would think he didn't even want to be in the match in the first place. He wants to be in Florida getting his tan on. So I could understand that you'd want to throw Uncle Danny in there, because he's, been super aggressive the past few weeks without that title, and he's from Tennessee. So yeah, it makes sense to me. But I have seen in further YouTube investigations, though, Kern's not going for good. So I don't think he's been complete. He may have to go back to Florida for graduation or some shit.
Yeah.
I told the wife, I just saw in my mind, Kern comes into TV and he says, well, what are we doing this week? So we're going to have am I going to get paid anymore? And they was like, no, you're not going to make anymore. And Kern says, I'm going back to Florida after I get through with TV. Won't y'all just, knock me out of here, get me out of here. Something on that match that stood out to me also was that now Steve Kern, I said this before, but I was right next to him at Evansville Con. At his table, Bruno on a table was there. Me and Bruno was there. Steve was right next to us. He's like a normal sized guy. He's a little taller than me, not much. But it really shows you how big of a man Steve Austin is. He made Kern look tiny, man. He made him look real tiny. I want to shout out to Brandon also, who's on Patreon. Brandon he was on 5-minute time limit this week, and he chose Steve Kern as one of his people. So there you go. He's on the Kern train
Brandon.
with us all. So,
what was his animal? Was it alligators?
I can't remember. It wasn't alligators, though. I can't remember.
I mean, if it's 1,000, if mine would have been 1,000 alligators, I definitely would have picked Steve Kern to be my four.
Oh yeah.
I think mine was like fish or something stupid.
Yeah, yours was fish. The one that was the most fun was the T-Rexes.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
I stand corrected. I thought elephants was the pinnacle. Never mind.
The guy that joined us had a really interesting thing for Goldust to do to T-Rexes to fight them. So go listen to the 5-minute time limit there. It was fun. It was stupid, but it was fun.
It didn't cross my mind with the 1,000 fish, but we were watching something the other night because Rosie likes shark shows, and there was a show about these about great white sharks and about them eating other fish. And I'm like, damn it, I should have picked John Tenta, but didn't relate to him being the shark at the moment. Anyway, next up, Dave runs down the towns. We got Fuller replacing Kern in Jonesboro. We got a fundraiser card in Germantown, Eddie Gilbert's homecoming after 6 years to Lexington, and we're going to be coming to Batesville, Ripley, and Clarksdale, Mississippi in there.
Then, that guy, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Before you move away from Lexington, Tennessee, and Eddie's homecoming, did you see they listed a kickboxer there?
Yes.
And Michael St. John totally botched the last name, Anthony Manus. He said Manus. But whatever. And that guy is he is a fucking judge for most UFC events.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
He made it somewhere. I also like how Michael St. John says Kennett, Missouri.
Oh, Kennett, Missouri, yeah.
Instead of Kennett, but how should he know, right? He's from Alabama. And so then we get a recap of last week's JC Ice versus Downtown Bruno match. And the shenanigans that took place in the end where one of the Texas hangmen came down. He ran Bill into the post and knocks out Bruno. So Jamie gets the win. And we get a promo from Dundee that's clearly from Dallas. And he's wanting revenge on, he don't know if it's Killer or Psycho, but they're all the same. Whatever hangman's across the ring from him Monday night is going to beat the shit out of him. And Jamie's got his little mask on. He's going to rip the mask off, pull his pants down, and spank him because that's pretty much the theme every week. Every week, Bill promises to give Jamie the spanking he should have gave him back when he was younger.
And I believe that will be our last look at Downtown Bruno for a while also.
Yeah, Embry finally got his way and got Bruno out of there, at least as a manager.
I love the fact that
turning back up as a ref.
I love the fact that Bill put over the point that when Jamie puts on the Texas hangman mask, he thinks he's from Texas. I love that shit. See, that furthers the idea of if you replace Tojo with Jamie, you could have had him with the 10-gallon hat.
Oh, I'm so glad you pointed that out. Like right now, I'm from Tennessee, but watch this. Texas. How's it go? How you all do that thing with your fingers? Oh man.
And did you notice as well in the footage? It was the yellow Texas Hangman.
Yes, I noticed that. I made a note.
They're back with the Red Bull shit on TV this week again.
When that clip came up, the first one of the tag match, and I was like, oh, Josh is gonna be so excited they got the yellow gear on this week. And I thought, well, surely they'll wear it into the studio. Here they come in the red. I was like, damn it, what are we doing? But yeah, so main event, and this was another one I didn't mention it at the top of the show because I kind of had a feeling how things were going to play out. But Eddie Gilbert and Danny Davis against the Texas Hangman is definitely a match that I was excited to hear. So, at the top of the show, like, all right, Steve Keirn, Steve Austin, Eddie Gilbert, Danny Davis against Texas Hangman. We got 2 good matches. Not a chance in hell we get a finish. But we did get a finish in the Jarrett and Pistolero match. But we got exactly what we expected in the next 2 as it deteriorates into a wild brawl. And as Dave so unsubtly kept pointing out, it was a preview of what the Texas brawl might be like Monday night, folks. Look at this clusterfuck in here. Wouldn't you want to see this in person in the fine, small, what's the word we keep using for
intimate?
Setting.
Wouldn't you like to be intimate in the middle of a Texas brawl here? Come on down Monday night.
Hey, they mentioned Max Andrews in this main event, and I felt sorry for Danny, Josh. He got all the heat on him. Gilbert got to get a hot tag, and then they went to the finish with all the guys jumping in. I was like, damn, Danny just came in. They got a bunch of arm twist shine is what I wrote. And then they started the heat on Danny. And I was like, damn, Danny didn't get to do nothing but do an arm twist and get his ass beat. I was like, shit.
They twisted and shouted like a motherfucker in the beginning of this match.
Yeah, they did. They did. But I bet that was fun for them. So,
God, arm twist shine sounds like it needs to be a T-shirt or something. I'm gonna remember that for future.
Or it seems like it's like the name of like a apparel brand or something like that. Collar and elbow or whatever the fuck it is. Or
yeah, collar. This is arm twist shine.
Yeah.
Corner sponsored by Arm Twist Shine.
I love it.
Sergeant O'Reilly, who we didn't see this week, by the way, which felt odd. I guess they didn't need anybody to take a big backdrop this week, so maybe next week. So after
somebody's backdropping today, I got to get this shit in.
After the initial run in of the first fall of our expiration of time match, and Lawler's out, so we're kind of putting Eddie Gilbert into that position, and today has felt like Lawler because Eddie comes out, he cuts the one promo by himself, then he's out for the 5-man promo, and now he's out, but this time he's bringing it in hot for Monday night to sell those tickets. So let's check out this promo and how, he come out earlier with the sunglasses and the T-shirt. He was a little fired up, but he wasn't a lot fired up. He's making jokes about the ugly women in Texas, but now he's fucking pissed.
Yeah, Eddie.
Dave, listen. Week in and week out, we have come out here, Memphis, Tennessee television. It all started with that big fat slob from Texas, Eric Embry. When the chips are down, when they're on their table, when you know you're going toe-to-toe, fist-to-fist, well, you don't show up today. All you do is send these ugly Texas stooges of yours here to Memphis. Well, brother, you're the yellow dog of Texas. You're a coward. You have no guts at all. And I want to tell you one more thing. Our Secretary of State, James Baker, is going to the Middle East right now, and he's trying to unify. He's trying to have peace talks with everybody. Well, you're looking at the instigator here of peace plans and peace talks. And from now on, boys, I'm telling you this, wake up. I'm the master of sneak attacks. And my boys, Jeff Jarrett, and the Tennessee stud Robert Fuller, Danny Davis, and Bill Dundee, they're going to beat you to the punch next time.
Good stuff.
He called me a what? So again, kind of like when he did the perfect fired up promo 2 weeks ago, and then we get to the Chef Boyardee line, I kind of felt like that here. Like he's hitting on the perfect fired up go home promo. You can't work in the Secretary of State into a promo and keep your
yeah, you can.
Keep your
Eddie
edge.
Gilbert did.
You lose your edge a little bit there when you work that in. Still a great promo, but I just thought that was funny. Like, why are we shoehorning the Secretary of State into this fucking promo, dude? But well, we know that him and Lawler at least both think that Eric Embry is a fat slob because they are working that into promos right and left. And I feel like this picture now perfectly captures Eric Embry's face when he hears these promos, like, you sons of bitches. Then again,
obese, ugly, obnoxious, rotten piece of slime.
Is he talking about Eric Embry? Is he talking about Brian Tramel? We don't know.
We don't know.
No
It's 1991. He did that earlier that year on me.
That's
so
right.
There you go.
So I don't know. Embry may have got word how well that got over, and it's like, hey, let's use it on TV.
No, he did that. He did the Embry thing before he did the promo on me. So there you go.
I assume so. I was just trying to tie them together in some form there. But so there we go back to the ring and try to have another fall. You're never going to believe what happens, guys.
Oh my God.
They run in and shit breaks loose again. But where no one was prepared to come out and help the first time it happened, these guys were all over it this time. And that's one thing that I guess there's just no way around if you're wanting to give guys a chance to get heat. But it's like you had all 5 of those guys out there together at one time in front of the camera. We know everybody's here. And then moments later, Robert Fuller's having to come out by himself to save Steve Keirn. He ends up getting jumped. And then it's a little while before the guys come out to, even the odds. And it's like, how does this keep happening in the studio? How do we know everyone's here, present and accounted for, but then somebody gets their ass whipped for several minutes before they finally come save? I mean, I know you got to let the guys get their heat, but I feel like, well, let's get the heat before you play all your cards and show that everybody's here hanging out. But I guess it's just one of those things we all just have to agree to not mention.
Yeah, maybe the door's stiff or something. They can't get the handle.
That's it. Yeah.
Going.
They're playing cards. They got to get the hand in. So,
hey, that's a good one too. Probably true to life.
Yeah, I mean, if it's good enough for Andre, it's good enough for the Tennessee gang here in Memphis. But all right, well, let's take our podcast commercial break, and then we'll come back. We'll hear what the card is for Monday night, and then we'll see what you guys thought about the show.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here. Lots of new stuff happening here at WrestleCopia. If you haven't checked out our website at WrestleCopia.com, it's a great way to keep up with the latest episodes of all of your favorite Copia programming, from the Wrestling Memory Grenade to Regional Wrestling with the Territory Talk, the Wrestling Stoop with the legendary Bob Roop, and of course all of those programs also available at your favorite podcast streaming platforms. And if you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the Copia world, all the latest news, random thoughts, fun videos, pictures, and more, make sure to join the more than 33,000 followers over at Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. Don't be left out. And last but definitely not least, it's what keeps the entire machine going. I'm talking about Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. We appreciate your support in helping us pay the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network running and enabling us to continue to bring you all the quality programming that we offer.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Sheik, Jarrett, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise, this team does it all. And all they ask is, Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Tired of the same boring wrestling podcast? Need something with attitude, chaos, and maybe just a little cussing? That's STSpod.club, and we got it all covered. We've got wrestling weirdness with WTF News Desk, 5-minute time limit, and the Southern Fried Brain of me, BT, steering the whole ship. We also have rolling into Memphis every week about the current Memphis wrestling. Interviews, hot takes, and wrestling outrageousness so wild it might get you banned in 12 states. That's right, it's SDSpod.club or search all podcast catchers for Shooting the Shiznit, where wrestling podcasts grow chest hair. Not sure what that meant. Love my mama.
All right, we're back. All right, let's see what Monday night's card is all about, and then we'll see what you guys thought about this week's show.
Parking is going to be free. It'll be across from the Coliseum, of course, at the Pipkin Building at the Fairgrounds. Now, the opening match of the night. Danny Davis, the Nightmare, will be going against Hangman Psycho. Got the Hangman split up. It won't last that way all night because they are going to be back together in part of the Texas Brawl later on. But in the opening match, it'll be Danny going against the big Hangman Psycho. Following that, the presentation by Eric Embry of Ms. Texas. Now, I don't know what he's got in mind. I haven't seen this Ms. Texas he's bringing in. But anyway, that's what Embry says. Include that on the card. So there it is, the presentation of Ms. Texas. Then following that, Superstar Bill Dundee will be going against the other Hangman Killer. J.C. Ice will be in the Hangman's corner, Jamie Dundee, of course. Following that, a stud match. And in this one, Tom Pritchard was talking about it a little earlier. We're going to have some words from Robert Fuller later on today, too. Fuller, the Tennessee stud, against Tom Pritchard, who claims he is also a stud from Texas. Well, we'll see what happens. Maybe it'll all be settled Monday night. Southern heavyweight title on the line. Jeff Jarrett said since he's been a little kid, he dreamed of being the Southern heavyweight champion. He is, and he intends to stay that way. He will be defending the belt against stunning Steve Austin.
It's going to be a tough test for Jarrett because Steve Austin coming into the prime of his career right now. And nothing.
This is Brawl coming up, and Jeff Jarrett talked about this a little bit earlier, and Michael was telling you about it too as you looked at some of the video. You can see how wild the night could end up at the Pipkin Building Monday night. Eric Embry, Dr. Tom Pritchard, Steve Austin, and the Texas Hangman, the bunch from Texas on one side of the ring. On the other is going to be Jeff Jarrett, Robert Fuller, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, Superstar Bill Dundee, and Nightmare Danny Davis. What a match.
And the thing about the Texas Brawl, Dave, is you never know what to expect, but I guarantee you this, anything that's not attached to the Pipkin Building Monday night is liable to end up in the ring or involved in that match.
Well, there you go. I mean, you got a stud match on the card. I mean, you can't go wrong. But let's hear it. What do you guys think? What was your least favorite part of this week's show?
I mean, I'd be a liar if I said that I wasn't just a little bit disappointed. There wasn't at least in one of the main event match, like at least one of the falls wasn't a definitive decision. At least once, and then the second one could be the big run in. But I guess it was just to show the importance of the situation and the chaos, and do it twice in a row. I get that thought, but yeah, I at least wanted to see one pinfall or something going on.
I thought the show was real good again. I'm being picky, but no Eric Embry live. I really like it more when he's there, giving Dave hell and everything and doing promos live. That's the only thing I could think of that I didn't like, because I know they're building for that big main event. It's the only way Memphis seems to build is have everybody in the ring at the end of the show. But really liked it. I like this. This 1991's been damn good, y'all. Maybe by November we're bitching and complaining, but it's been really fun year so far.
Well, you do have to admit that if Eric Embry was here, you wouldn't have got to see that arm twist heat because they would have been showing an Eric Embry promo during that match.
Well, that's
with,
true.
The
Damn,
Texas
I'm so
Hangman
glad.
against Eddie Gilbert and Danny Davis. So they had to send him away, like, just stay in Texas so we can actually have a Texas Hangman match this week. So what was the opposite end of the spectrum? What was your most favorite part of this week's show?
I mean, this one, as weird as it is, probably, but at this point in time, I guess, I'm 8 years old. And for whatever reason, like one of my core memories is from this show. It's the Robert Fuller roll call, and Uncle Danny going up there and shouting out our hometown. I thought that was really cool at the time, and I still do. And, just announcing where all the Tennessee boys were from and stuff. That's just a really special moment to me as a kid, and remembering back, it's really, really good memory. And, it was the first time Uncle Danny was kind of, he's come in for the save and stuff to kind of back the fellow Tennesseans, but he's in an official match, Tennessee versus Texas. So he's officially plugged in my mind at this point. I love it.
My favorite part had to be that Robert Fuller promo, man. I love that. Just like Josh said, it's right there. Everybody saying where they're from, and really smart idea. Fun. And the thing with Dundee, I thought was hilarious, saying that he's from Australia. They actually said that, but Fuller just when he's on the screen, that's all you want to look at. Really, he's just you think about Fuller being so successful in the South. And, in Knoxville, in the area, and always being, but man, you can see why he was so successful when you see promos like this.
Yeah, I'm definitely agreeing with that. That promo did it for me, but something else that kind of, I don't know why exactly, but in the first couple of weeks, it's like, all right, will Robert Fuller turn? Sure, he's a Tennessee guy, but then he's also cowboy by nature. He's also seemingly a born heel, it feels like. So like, will he or won't he? I don't know. Eddie Gilbert, he seems pretty bought in, but you never know. He's subject to turn on a dime. But something about this week and this promo, it felt like it removed all the doubt for me. Seeing them all out there together and pointing out they're all from Tennessee and they're all fighting for the same thing and they all hate these pricks. It kind of took that off the table and was like, man, this feels like a team. They feel like everybody's unified now, and this is going to be the week where they finally put these Texas guys in their place. And so,
and he had his arm around Jeff too. That made me think he's a babyface. So
that's right. At the time, like I said, I had seen Robert Fuller shortly as a babyface in Continental, but not a whole lot. But as good as he is as a heel promo, he cuts a very convincing babyface promo as well. And I think that was definitely showcased here also. So, and the fact that he was first one to come out there to save wherever everybody else was at, where they were playing cards or having a circle jerk or whatever, Robert Fuller is the first one out there to try to save Steve Keirn. So that was impressive too. So I guess by now in 91, this is almost becoming a useless question, but I'm going to ask anyway. Would you guys buy a ticket to go see the Texas Brawl Monday night?
100%. I'm there. Yeah. Just if you could just have that one match, with the way that they've been building this thing, I would have went just for the one match.
I agree. I'd be there too. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go again because this feud is something I'd be interested in. Also, I'm really digging the Pipkin building. So
let's head over to it. April 29th, 1991, the Pipkin building, Memphis, Tennessee. Opening match: Nightmare Danny Davis and Psycho of the Texas Hangman fight to a time limit draw. In the second match, Superstar Bill Dundee defeats Killer of the Texas Hangman, assuming he's got Jamie with him. In the third match, Robert Fuller and Dr. Tom Pritchard fight to a double disqualification. Jeff Jarrett successfully defends the Southern Heavyweight title, defeating Steve Austin. Eddie Gilbert and Eric Embry fight to a double disqualification. And then in the big 10-man Texas brawl, and after this, I'm going to pitch it to BT. I'm hoping he has some insight from the Observer. I didn't really look at it this week because we're kind of letting that be BT's thing since he's the dirt sheet guy. In the Texas brawl, Eric Embry, Steve Austin, and the Texas Hangman, along with Tom Pritchard, defeated Robert Fuller, Bill Dundee, Nightmare Danny Davis, Jeff Jarrett, and Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. Is there any details in the Observer this week? Is anything telling us what exactly went down there?
700 people, so it's about a half of what was there last week. It said that the Embry-Eddie Gilbert match ended and Eddie was injured after the match. So when the match started, it was actually 5-on-4. And we see that in the clips when you see Eddie come in at the very end. He's got tape on his head. The Observer said that was a chain match. That wasn't a chain match, was it?
Well, see, I think they must have had a rematch or something, because this said, I didn't read it because I thought surely this isn't right. It says chain match, double disqualification. Eddie Gilbert.
Yeah.
But see, last week they did the same thing. Eddie got the green mist.
Missed and got injured and didn't come out.
What you're talking about is the clip from last week's show.
Oh, I am. But he did the same thing. Yeah.
They had a similar kind of Texas brawl, and Eddie shows up at the end.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know what happened in this match. Surely to God they didn't do the Eddie gets hurt and shows up in the end deal. But according to this, however it played out, the Texas crew went over again, which is kind of surprising.
I had some other notes from Observer I thought was interesting. Last Saturday in Nashville, they had 500 people. And it was just the regular matches like Kernan Dundee against Hangman, Ice Baby Pin, Night Train, and we forget to mention that Night Train's gone also. But I thought it was interesting. The best match on the card, who went to Nashville on this night sent in stars. So they were doing the stars, and the best match was Jarrett and Fuller they beat Pritchard and Austin in 20 minutes when Jarrett hit Austin with Tojo's briefcase. And then they made note that Danny Davis, he won the title on 423 in Louisville, as we talked about last week, but they recognized it throughout the circuit. So they didn't switch it back and forth. They recognized it. And the night before this show, the night before, Lawler was in Dallas. There was 583 people, and he won the Texas title. But they probably won't say anything on TV about it. The other guys that were there that ended up coming, I guess they got on that bus that everybody talks about. Danny Davis, Jeff Jarrett, Robert Fuller, Steve Austin, Tom Pritchard, the Hangman, and Pistolero were all in Dallas the night before this, and they drove to Memphis to do the TV tapings. So crazy, crazy stuff. Also in the Observer was during this time period, Jarrett had an auto accident in Jackson that Sunday afternoon, which would have been the day after this taping. Ended up with both cars, Jarrett's car and the car, they burst into flames. Jeff managed to get out of the car through the window before the car burst into flames. He was treated for 3 hours in the hospital and then released. Crazy, crazy. There were 7 others. None of the rest were wrestlers who were treated from the wreck. I emailed Jeff yesterday afternoon because I said, we covered a wreck in 1993 and we made so much fun of Eddie Marlin's driving. And then this wreck, and I actually messaged Jeff and I said, look, I know you have more chances of being in wrecks than most normal people, normal humans, as I put. And I asked him, he said he had 3 major ones, which was the one with Eddie, the one in Jackson where the car turned in flames. But he said in 1989, him, Billy Travis, Dundee, Skandar Akbar, it was on ice in eastern Oklahoma. And he said, only by the grace of God did I survive any of them. So just crazy. Because, I mean, 3 major accidents like that, and he almost came out of them just beat up a little bit, sore a little bit. So, good job. And final note, Tony Anthony and Doug Gilbert were in Puerto Rico, and Dave reports they'll be coming back to USWA. Spoiler alert.
Nice. All right. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I noticed whenever I was pulling results that around this time, while he's recuperating in Memphis, Jerry Lawler is wrestling in Dallas a few different times here. So, I guess his neck injuries, he's immune to them in Dallas. So.
Yeah. He said before the match, Lawler told the fans in Texas that he's working a match against doctor's orders because of his neck injury, which is, I guess, because some fans in Tennessee may see the match in syndication on ESPN. So they drew 583 people. Did I say that for that show? That's pretty solid sportatorium at that time.
Yeah, I'll say by this point it was. I mean, there's a time that Fritz von Erich would have had a real heart attack instead of faking one. That was what they drew. But by now, it's cause for celebration. All right, well, that covers this week's show. We'll see what clips we get of the Texas Brawl and clarify if that Eddie Gilbert and Eric Embry match was a chain rematch or not. But right now, Brian, tell us what's happening over at stspod.club.
All right. Every day we do Shiznit Minute, talk about the current wrestling scene. With Saturday, if you're getting this on Tuesday, we did episode 1002, which was rolling in the Mempho 246. Last week we celebrated the 1000th episode. Was really silly. Y'all joined us. I appreciate that. And Gene and I did WTF News Desk. Tomorrow, if you're listening to this on Tuesday, tomorrow, is that when it comes out, Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday. If you're listening to it today at 5:00 today on Wednesday, we go live with Bill Rush. If you're on Patreon, you can already listen to it, but it will be on all the feeds with the live stream and also on the main feed. That's pretty much what's going on. Rest of the month, I call it a lot month. November is always a lot month. In the last 2 weeks, I don't do anything except rolling into Mempho.
I got you. All right. Well, next up, let's hear what is happening on this week's P3 Radio.
All right. Again, 4 out of 5 hoots. The podcast always talks about videos, but never gives you links. It's Josh and Richard, and it's 431 Too Many Horses. $4 for 4 foreskin. I wrote that. I can't remember, but I do want to tell them that Josh and Richard are docking experts. They've become docking experts.
Well, like I said on the show, at this point, we've had at least 30-something minutes of conversation and analyzing, and that is that is more than most people. I mean, in the world, you would think.
What I want to know is there ever been a podcast that spent that much time talking about docking?
Not that was allegedly 2 straight men talking, I bet.
Right.
We're talking about Christmas decorations going up. Josh told a story about Little White shaking hands with him, which is hilarious. I thought it was funny that Richard had no idea who Little White was.
He acted like it was some goddamn Japanese musician that had never seen America. He's like, "Oh, I have no clue." It's like, what the fuck? Where were you in 2003, motherfucker? Because
I was listening to
was everywhere.
Little White.
I have no idea who that is either.
Yeah, Jelly Roll too. See, I listened to Little White, Jelly Roll. That whole little mix of people was together. So Richard has already told the story. I think you told the Little White story before, which I thought was weird because he had never heard it.
Well, I told it here, I think on Patreon.
Oh, okay. Richard met Jay Okerson. Big J. Is that Okerson? Is that his last name? I just want y'all to know I don't know his last name, but I have a crush on him. Richard wrote a country song that was a #1 hit about Sting and his dad called Life and Prayers. That's when he was a kid. And Meemaw made some appearances, which was always good.
Hey.
They both talked about herpes sticking around longer than they thought it would. There was a good song coming back from commercial break, which would have been their second strike on YouTube. Richard talks cable TV prices and how to get football and WWE with some bundles. Promo code ST. No. He also talked about bootleg IPTV, which that's the second time he's told that story, I think. The tabs was Richard talks football, divorce, and big dicks. We had road sign thieves. We had a store owner that said he's going to whoop the hell out of somebody that thieves.
And he kept doing his hands like this right here. He have his hands up, and we go whoop the hell out of him. He would be my CEO.
Yeah, he's gonna whoop the hell out of him. And then the woman that played in the original movie Lassie died. The one that played the mom, and
June
believe it or
Lockhart.
not, Timmy is still alive. And there was a TV show canceled on HBO because the horses died. That was P3 Radio, episode 431.
There you go. You can check it out wherever you get podcasts, or you can check it out over on youtube.com/@Retro Wrestling Archive. You can find the majority of the P3 Radio episodes. There's been a few that's been pulled down due to copyright strikes, unfortunately, or muted. But most of them are there. Check them out along with all the other tons and tons and tons of wrestling content that we have over there. For everything related to this podcast, you can check out USWApodcast.com. All the social media links, merch, all that is available at USWApodcast.com. And we sure would appreciate it if you would check out patreon.com/retro wrestling archive. One of the fine patrons the other day posted that Retro Wrestling Archive provides more content than any other Patreon he's ever been a part of. So that made me happy because I feel like I'm always struggling trying to keep things up. I put all the podcasts up there early on the Patreon. Now we've started putting up a lot of the STS shared content goes up there, and including the Patreon stuff that originally just only went to BT's Patreon. So join up. We have, of course, the Hot Mics post show we record here each and every week. And if you think the things we say here are questionable, oh boy, you should join the Patreon. But also lots of cool watch-alongs. This past week, me and BT watched a match that prior to watching it, Brian had no idea ever happened or even existed. It was Bret and Owen Hart taking on Rick and Scott Steiner from a Coliseum video exclusive from 1994. BT was quite puzzled at the psychology or lack thereof in some portions of that match.
Four guys, poor total professionals just threw it out the window on that match, and then probably because of babyface versus babyface. It's one of those things where me and Gene were talking. We would like to be in a Q&A with Bret Hart and see what he thought about the Steiners, because they did not work each other many times. We say this might have been the only time. So
it's certainly the only one recorded that I've ever seen or found. Also coming up this week over on the Patreon, me and my buddy Bob Anderson, at his request, watched Starrcade 91 this past week. It was the first ever pay-per-view that he watched as a kid live on pay-per-view, so it has a sentimental value to him. He's been wanting us to watch it for a while. I finally broke down, and it was fun. It's not a great pay-per-view. It's always bugged me that they try to concept pay-per-view for a Starrcade, but it was fun. And what's funny is, as we're watching it, Thomas Rich's name comes across the screen as one of the guys that's going to be getting drawn out for this, lethal lottery. And Bob said, "Have you heard from Tommy lately?" I was like, "No, I hadn't talked to Tommy in a few weeks. The podcast is on hiatus." And about 10 minutes later, while we're watching this thing at like 2:30 on a Friday afternoon, out of the blue, Tommy texts me. He's like, "Hey man, you still alive? I ain't heard from you in a while. Just checking in on you." And so I was like, "Hey, guess who just texted me, Bob?" And so afterwards, I talked to Tommy and told him, I was like, "Hey, I'm going to be quizzing you about Starrcade 91 pretty soon, because we got a few questions after watching that thing." But if you want to see that, check that out. We're going to be dropping it later this week. It was a lot of fun. We're going to be doing some more stuff like that as we move along. And me and BT's got some more stuff in the works. And as life slows down maybe a little bit for Josh in the winter, maybe we can get Josh to jump in on the watch along or two along the way. Maybe even get Richard to tag in. We find something we can have fun with. But that's going to do it for this week, folks. So we appreciate you joining us. If you would, check out substack.com /at Retro Wrestling Archive. Putting up all the podcasts are coming through there now, the audio versions of all my podcasts and the podcasts that me and BT do together and work together on, as well as I've been putting up some articles over there. I've had some extra time, so I've been doing some research and writing some things. Put one up last week about Don Carson. That's a guy you don't hear a lot about or read a lot about, but he's a very interesting guy. And if you want to learn more about him, go to my Substack. Check that out. Check out my one on Norvell Austin, Jackie Fargo, Bobby Davis. I'm proud of those. The people who have been messaging me, appreciate your feedback. Glad you're liking them. I'm going to keep them coming. Anything else, guys, before we sign off?
Love my mama.
All right. We'll see you next week for more Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast.